you interested in real estate investing but not quite sure where to get started? Do you want to get the know-hows on creating ongoing passive income using the buy and hold strategy? Hi, I'm Janice Bowles, licensed realtor and co-founder of B Premier Ventures, a real estate development and consulting firm where we buy and beautify distressed real estate, renovate it, and resell for profit. With over 15 years of investing experience, B Premier has extensive knowledge in rural land development, fix and flips, and rental acquisitions. B Premier's current portfolio consists of properties within Florida and Virginia. Our firm's services includes investor project consulting, project management, and group coaching. For more information, visit our website at bpremierventures.com and schedule a complimentary discovery session or subscribe to our email list. It's free. Follow me on Instagram at Janice Bowles for additional real estate investing tips. B Premier Ventures, we buy and beautify.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of Let's Do It Talk Show. It's your girl, Ladrine Howard Peterson, the CEO and founder of Do It, delivering on ideas and thoughts. And you know what I do in a nutshell, right? I help to turn dreamers into doers, and I do it from two aspects. I do it from the aspect of career development and business. Career development, resume writing, interview preparation. You have an issue on your job, or if you're looking to change jobs, I am your girl. And then I do it from the business aspect. If you're looking to expand your business, you're looking for a marketing strategy. If you're looking to start a business, you have some ideas and thoughts, but don't know how to bring them to fruition, I am your girl. Here at the Let's Do It Talk Show, we were primarily created for entrepreneurs, right? Quickly, we realized that the entrepreneur is an entire person. So we talk about faith, we talk about finances, we talk about the future, and we talk about families and relationships. Today, we have a fantastic group of people with me, and we are going to be rocking and talking about leadership. So we're doing an anthology takeover with the visionary, none other than Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant. So we have a bunch of beautiful ladies who are going to step in, and we're going to talk about leadership, right? And not only just stepping into your leadership, we're going to be talking about leaders producing leaders. So if you all don't know, my first love is HR, but coming right up next to that is leadership. So we're going to go in and talk about that. But you know what I do before I jump into the show, right? I talk all about my weekend. And this weekend was kind of like business-fied. I had a lot of work to do, so I jumped in and got some assignments done. But one of the other things I did, y'all, so it deals with my staff, and over again, I have to tell them to forgive me. I normally don't play, a lot with April Fool's Day, but I got them. I had my assistant to set up a quick meeting, a quick 15-minute meeting, and I called it Quick 15 Minutes. You know, when something like that happens, everybody, all my staff started talking and wondering what was going on, and it was on a Friday, and I had another one of the supervisors to join in the call. So, I told them that it was my last day. I was going to a new organization, and they know I'm going on vacation in a couple of days. And I was like, I'm telling y'all, I set the whole scene. And then I was going to keep it going until the end of the day. Man, they started saying, oh my God, we miss you so much. And they started telling me what they learned from me and how much they appreciate me. I couldn't even go. I couldn't go anymore. I was like, April Fools, April Fools, April Fools. So I love my staff, but what that did for me, it showed me how much they appreciated me. And this show is so in alignment to everything about leadership. So it made me proud and helped me to even better prepare for this show. And last but certainly not least, in addition from being in the lab and trying to finish up some deadlines, church. So it's signs that the pandemic may slowly be over because I hadn't been in-person church services for like almost 2 years. And so my church, Mount Eden Baptist Church, they're slowly engaging, and we are in service once on the first Sunday of the month. So I didn't go the first Sunday. I wanted to see what was going on and feel what was going on. I went last month and I went yesterday, and it felt so good. And I had one picture of a young lady who was in the car next to me. So I had gotten used to not having to deal with that church parking lot traffic. I ran into it yesterday, but also had a lovely conversation with beautiful seasoned sunflower. I love hanging with older women of age. I learned so much from them. So, all right, that was me. That was my weekend, and we are going to jump into the show. So, step into leadership greatness. Leaders producing leaders. And the visionary who I often play in the sand with, none other than Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant. Welcome to the show, Jennifer. Welcome everyone to the show. We're going to start off with you, Jennifer. We're going to have some dialogue and some discussion about this wonderful book that you have produced. And it's not just, let's see how I say it. It's not like it's like just new. It is the second volume. So we had the first volume, and now we're coming into the second volume, all about leadership. So shall we jump into the conversation?
Let's go, Ladrine. You know how we
Let's do it. So before we get started, like you have your own business, you have your own organization. Let's start off by telling everyone a little bit about who you are and what you do.
All right, you know we are twins. So I'm a retired executive from the federal government. Spent my time nearly 31 years there. And then I took like maybe a month or two off, and then I ended up going into the corporate space with a Fortune 100 company where I'm responsible for people, culture, diversity, inclusion, belonging. And I also get to lead a national women's business resource group with approximately 24,000 women. And so that's not an easy feat at all. And then after my day job, I actually own my own business, Reaching Within an Empowerment Journey LLC, where I help mid-level corporate women to excel to the next level through, as you mentioned, resume services, interview prep, goal setting, because that's incredibly important, and most importantly, leadership development.
Yes, absolutely. And as I mentioned, we often play in the sandbox together. The HR sandbox, we can rock and roll in the leadership sandbox as well. So I'm extremely excited about your book project, extremely excited about part one of the author takeover. So let's go ahead deep into it. So the vision for this anthology, what was your inspiration behind the vision? Why was it necessary for you to put out this project?
So for me, and I want to step back for a quick second with volume one, it was Step into Leadership Greatness. Leadership isn't just the title, because I wanted to instill in everyone, no matter where you sit in the organization or you sit in your home, you are a leader. And some did not recognize that they had the leadership qualities because those skills are transferable in your personal and professional lives. And so I sat back for a while because for me, yes, you want to um, earn money, right, from your projects.
Right.
But for me, it was not about that for me. And this next one, I didn't do it back to back. I waited for God to give me the signal to say go.
Amen.
And so, based upon that, I said, wow, I talked about it. I talked it over with Dr. Mary and I thought it through. And I said, I want to come out with a next volume, but I need to think about my subtitle. And I gave it a lot of thought. because what I wanted to do was to make sure the intent and vision of my book is to make sure transparency, integrity showed up. And I also wanted to make sure scaling your leadership showed up as well. And so I kind of tossed some names out to Dr. Mary. She and I went back and forth. And then everything that I said, and she's so great at this, everything that I said, I was like, I need to narrow this down. Like, I don't want it to be too long.
Right.
And so she said, what do you think about leaders producing leaders? I said, aha, that's it. That's it. And so it felt so good to me because that's what I wanted to be about, which is scaling leadership. And it's about that self-care portion, Ladrine, that self-care, because we always put, as leaders, put other people ahead of us and taking care of them. But how magical could it be if we went out there and served as force multipliers and impart in other leaders what we have and lead from the back? And Lisa Dove Washington can talk about that. Lead from the back and impart so many skills and knowledge in others so they can go out there and lead the way. And so this is what this is about at this point in time.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, pretty much went through my next question that I was going to ask my next two. So, let me jump into this, right? So, volume one and volume two, all roads lead to leadership. So, in your opinion and in your words, how do you define leadership?
And so I'm going to define leadership from, as you say, from my perspective and from my life lessons, from 360 feedbacks, what associates have said to me, what my clients have said to me. It comes back to my big why. And my big why is to serve as a lighthouse and not a lifeboat. And that means to equip, that means to empower, that means to lift, that means to inspire, and that also means to encourage, and that means to advocate for others so they can lead the way.
Ooh, girl, I love, love, love that. I wore my blazer for y'all today, so I'm trying to keep it professional because I do wear that hat as well. But I just had to set out a different sound other than I really think that that was profound. I love that, so I had to throw in a little bit of that as well, right? So
Yes.
let's bring all of your co-authors as well as the forward author into this discussion. Project again is magical, as you have already mentioned that word. So I want to ask each of the co-authors, and as well as you, Dr. Huntley, to please provide an overview of your leadership background and profile. And the way that we're going to do this, we're going to go round robin. So before you answer the question, need to know a little bit about you, right? So can we start with you, Miss Edwards?
Thank you. I guess I go first. So my name's Chantal Edwards. I started my professional career in the Air Force. So aim high for all of you who've been around the military. That's a little old term for me, near and dear to my heart. Aim high. I transitioned out of the military and I joined the defense contracting realm, supporting the government. And then I transitioned over to be a federal employee, supporting the Department of Homeland Security. Still working a little bit in the same realm of analysis and cybersecurity. And recently, I made the transition to corporate America. I am part of one of the top 100 most influential companies out there. And so that is a little bit about my background as far as professional career development there.
Yes. And so can you just jump right into it in terms of providing like a little bit overview of your leadership background? So you talked about the various lanes that you swam in, just a little bit in that leadership role.
Ooh, okay. So, starting in the military, I've always had a team to kind of follow, I mean, kind of to guide. I reached the rank of staff sergeant and I was constantly training. I received several accolades of Airman of the Quarter, JIC of the Quarter, I'm sorry, JIC, Joint Intelligence Center of the Quarter. So throughout my military career, I was always a trailblazer, kind of doing the 360 of who I am and leading the way in that regards of how do I constantly push myself forward. When I transitioned out of the military and was a defense contractor, I was still constantly pushing my other cohorts and contractors and my government relations and clients, constantly trying to show people how what good analysis looks like, good work ethic looks like, and also trying to balance that work home life balance. I am a mother of 3 children. My husband and I have been married for 20 years. So in that regard, I've also been trying to lead the way of what it looks like to be a professional and have that home life. And most recently, I'm an executive at a company, and I am constantly trying to redefine of what that leadership looks like in different roles.
I absolutely love that. So one thing with me, I love ad hoc and adding on. I'm going to try to behave myself, but it's so many things that jump out of the conversation that you said. One, the first one was transferring skills. So critically important for people to understand whether it's climbing up the ladder or climbing sideways. So I love that. And then you also talked about relationship building. Whether it was from the Air Force, federal government, or corporate America, you did not lose contact with your connection because relationship currency is invaluable. You can't put a price on that. And then the last one, balancing families. So critical, not only for women, but also for men. It's so critical to balance a family work life and to make sure y'all stay together. Because people can work really hard and put so much into their job that it pulls them apart. So thanks for sharing that information. Very good information. So Dr. Mosley, can we go to you next? First again, please give us an overview and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Well, I am Dr. Teresa Ann Mosley. I also am a U.S. Army veteran. Went into the Army right out of high school. I had my first leadership experience. Actually, that's not true. I had my first leadership experience in Girl Scouts. But I was definitely a leader in the military. When I got out of the military, I went to school. I earned 3 degrees. I got a PhD in ed admin. I taught ed leadership at Bowie State for 12 years. I worked in Prince George's County Public Schools most of the time as a leader for 28 years. I'm about to retire and join a corporate training. July 1st, 2022, I have some offers to do contracts to train corporate America. So I'm really excited about that. As a leader, one of the things I said was, I was a leader in the military. I was a leader before that. I've always been a leader. I think I've been a leader when I was 2 years old. One thing about me is I always learn everybody's job. Now that's critical. Let me tell you why. As a transformational leader, that's what my chapter is on. I train people to know everybody else's job. So when someone is absent, someone can always pick up. And then with me, no one really taught me that. That was in me. It was innate that when I was in the military, they told me I was mission essential. I said, what does that mean? I want to go to jump school. They said, no, you can't go to jump school. You are mission essential. I said, why? Is it because you know everybody's job? And I was 19 years old. So that's one of the things that I do is when I train my people, I train them to know everything about the organization. Right now, I work in the central office and I am the go-to administrator. When a school is having a problem, send Teresa. I got a call Friday. You got to go to this school. We need your help. Do the needs assessment. So I hope I answered your question. I am a transformational leader. My goal is to make sure that everybody knows everybody's job and that everybody supports one another and that relationships are very important. If you're lonely at the top, there's a problem. It's okay to be to think about people and to be compassionate and empathy to people. I don't serve top down. I serve horizontally. I believe in shared decision making. And I also believe that people that don't really know what their purpose is, it's up to that leader to bring it out of them, to build their capacity.
Okay. I said I wasn't going ad hoc, but I have to. I have to. It just wouldn't be me, right? Jennifer and Dr. Huntley, you all know it just wouldn't be me. So let me just do what I do, right? So one of the things that you talked about was training. Jennifer can attest from the HR world. You have your journey that you travel up the ladder. And a lot of people think that the top level is expert. It is not. It is not an expert. When you get to the point where you are training other people, that is the highest. Because when you go to training, that means that you can read and write policy and interpret it and to help somebody else interpret it as well. So love all the avenues that you play in with training. And then the Girl Scout, right?
Yes.
And
Right.
it goes to our leaders born or our leaders develop? That has been a balancing question. And for me, I can answer it on either side, right? I can definitely go into leaders can be developed. But let me tell you, for you, I'm going to go ahead and do that hashtag.
Right.
Leaders are born, right? When you talked about from little kid up, and that's what I try to pour into my clients and explain to them. They'll be like, I'm not a leader, my manager does this. And Jennifer, that goes also to your first volume of saying wherever you are, you can be a leader, right? And I have this thing that I do, and it's a chapter in my upcoming book, and it's called Managing from the Middle. And just as you said, all the way coming up, whichever way you look at it, you can pull out some leadership skills. Like my friends that I grew up, they might say I was bossy. I wasn't bossy. I was just being a leader. I was just being a leader. So it goes back to all of the various ways and the different things. So yes, you certainly answered my question. Next up, Dr. Mary Hudley. And you know, I'm trying to hold back from saying the nickname that I have for you. It's going to come out tonight. I told you I got on my blazer, so we're doing what we do, right? So, Dr. Huntley, please give everyone an overview of who you are.
Thank you, Ladrine, first of all, for hosting us. We really appreciate being here this evening. I'm Dr. Mary Hudley. I am the Chief Executive Officer and the Chief Encouragement Officer at Trinity Global Empowerment Ministries, Inc., a 501c3 institution. And I'm happy to be here. And I also have a coaching um, facility where we train leaders to just get rid of rejection and get rid of all the low self-esteem and all the other things that individuals may have said to you. You can't do this or whatever. We just, help you to do what you are really capable of doing. And the other part about the leadership that we are talking about is interesting because as far as leadership is concerned, Dr. Teresa talked about leadership as far as Girl Scout. I raised my hand because I am a lifetime Girl Scout. I did work for them. I was in troop, etc. And I love them so much so because I love women. I love females. And I don't compete. I collaborate. I want all of us to win, ladies. So whenever you see me, I want us all to win. Ladrine and I have an inside scoop and a little something, something. We're from what we call Southeast. And if you made it out of there, let me tell you, you brought some leadership stuff with you because first and foremost, you had to figure out how to get out there alive. And to God be all the glory, we made it out. So yeah, that's a little bit about what I do. And I'm happily married for, this is April, right? April 26th will be 48 years, guys.
Woo-hoo!
April 26th, I'll be married to my handsome, wonderful husband for 48 years. And God is amazing. So that's a little bit about what I do. And I'm just happy to be a part of this amazing, the second time around, this amazing collaboration.
Yes, absolutely. So first, let me give you a shout out for making it to 48 years of marriage.
God be all the glory.
That
yes.
alone. So all
yes.
your leadership skills, like we women, we allow men to think that. No, I'm not. That's a different show. My bad. So for you and your business, like coaching, you're the coach of the coaches, right? Coach of the coaches. I've seen you in action. I've seen you moving. But near and dear to my heart is to help people to get out of situations or look around and not take what can be perceived as negativity as a hindrance to helping you move forward, right? So so that's one thing I always give credit to Southeast Washington D.C. because it taught me resilience. It taught me so many different things, and I know those very things that you always talk about, and we have a connection. And I'm not saying that you had to grow up, that's the only way you can get that skill set, but let me just tell you, we got a little extra. We got a little extra that goes along with that. So I appreciate you. Always love to be on a platform with you, interviewing you, being interviewed by you, or however it goes. So, and I caught that double CEO, right? You have a way with words, a way with strategy, and a way with marketing. So, just wanted you to know I caught that. Okay, I caught that. So, all right, ladies, you all have a vast background in leadership in so many different pathways, but the skills among all of you all, just powerful, and it's an area that I like to discuss and I like to talk about. So let's talk about your leadership in terms of how you became a part of this project. So what was it that made you say yes? What was the inspiration behind you wanting to be a part of this project? And Miss Edwards, we'll start with you.
Ladrine, can we one quick second?
Sure.
I don't know if Lisa talked about herself.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lisa.
I'd be remiss.
I'm sorry, can we get an overview of you? I'm sorry, we didn't get you to talk about yourself.
Sure, no problem. Actually, I was listening to everyone else and seeing how we're connected. There's some synergy definitely within this volume too. Southeast, I went to HD Woodson, so I lived in Southeast and went to school in Northeast, so I get it. And you are right. But I actually am in the government, and for 27 years come this May. So I'm looking forward to joining Dr. Jennifer's team of retirement. Absolutely. And I will say, I mean, Dr. Teresa brought up Camp Springs, and I was thinking about the first time I kind of introduced myself. I'm thinking hindsight now to leadership was actually not Camp Girl. I was in Camp Girls. I was a Bluebird. So it was the same type of thing, but that's when we kind of learned all those leadership skills when you kind of didn't want to stand up in front of people and make presentations and do things, but you ain't had no choice because mama said. But I think that helped me to push through some of those leadership things. The only difference with me, and I think I was spoken with Dr. Jennifer about this, is that I didn't actually view myself as a leader. I was just kind of in the mix. I was working like everybody else, so I never really placed myself in that space. And now hindsight from being on this project, I'm starting to see that I was showing up as leader in many areas, even social clubs. I was in a social club for 15 years. And we actually decided as a group not to have a president. And allowed everybody to just kind of show up in whatever space they would show up in. And it's ironic that sometimes people would make assumptions about who was who within the organization. And I kind of like that. And that was a form of leadership in some way, because it's like everybody will show up for whatever position they play. And no one had to tell them to do it. So it was coming organically. So, I mean, I've enjoyed this process, and I think my background in government for 27 years has taught me so much from the different areas that I've worked in. Some were hard lessons, but they've all kind of circled around, and I'm really enjoying who I am in this space of leadership. Whatever vein I'm in, I'm enjoying every minute of it. So.
And you know what? That's so awesome that you even bring that perspective to it. A lot of times, individuals can find themselves saying, "Oh, I'm not a leader. Oh, I don't associate with leadership." So just how you said how Dr. Jennifer coached you through the process to have that conversation and encourage you and inspired you, and then it only took like a piece of it to turn a light on, and then from that you began to see all the traces of all the things that you've done that actually to have you to say, like, yes, I am a leader. So even the look on your face when you said, and I realized, like, hey, I am a leader. That's a huge thing. So glad that you connected with that. And then how you talked about the social clubs, that's very vital and important, because it depends on what type of leader that you have. I mean, you can have some really good leaders, but you can have some not so good leaders. And sometimes not the fault of their own. Sometimes they just got placed in that position. But the one thing that you pointed out when you talked about being in social clubs and not really having a president or so, if people put in their mindset that same way of when they're operating, even when you do have an official leader, you still have a role to play, because guess what? If it wasn't a role for you to play, it wouldn't be a part of the organizational structure. You think they're just going to add a position just for the sake of? So everybody has a component and a role and a responsibility that creates it. And guess what? Like, we're leaders, so we know that, right? But for the others who are not leaders and they're trying to figure out, your leader can't be a leader without you, because who are they going to lead? So you'll catch that one later. Catch that one later. But love how you centered yourself, and through the encouragement, it was quick for you to catch on and say, oh, by the way, I am a leader. I am a leader. So love that. Keep that encouragement and keep it going on and on. And as you have discussed, everyone, as you all have discussions with others, we're also coaches as well. The same thing that someone poured into you, pour into others. So we're going to go back to you, Miss Edwards. So in terms of your reasoning for wanting to be a part of this, and in desiring to be a part in writing a chapter and sharing your story, what was your inspiration?
So first, I want to thank Dr. Bryant for the opportunity. Thank you so much. And she's actually fulfilling a part of me, a core tenet of my personality. I consider myself a giver. A few years ago, I had significant health issues. And during that part of me trying to find myself again, I realized I had a lot in me that I wanted to share and give back and do for others, community service, inspire, coach, you name it. And so part of this is I don't want to have another health incident or issue and feel like I left something. I want to leave it all on the table. I want to pour my heart, all I have to give out there for others. And so if I am not here tomorrow, I was able to do my part to better and empower others. So that is a true fundamental part of me. And thank you to ladies here, because this is everything to me. And so that is why I did it.
I love that. I love that. Dr. Teresa, what are your thoughts in terms of that? What was your inspiration and what made you want to be a part of this anthology?
Well, I was part of the first anthology, and I joined the first anthology because of the people that I met on another book project. I said, I want to work with Dr. Jennifer. I want to work with Dr. Hundley. The networking was just incredible. When you do an anthology and you meet other people and you network, you learn so much. But this particular book, I didn't think I was going to have the time to do it. Life happens. I lost a best friend to cancer in December. I lost a brother-in-law to leukemia in January. I lost a husband to Parkinson's disease in February. And so I really didn't think, and all this time I'm being a caretaker, I really didn't think I'm going to have time to do this book. But one night God said, Teresa, you need to write the chapter. You know, the first chapter you talked about transformational leadership. But now you can go into detail on the tenets of transformational leadership. And also, my book sells out on my website all the time. Dr. Jennifer, I need 100 more books.
Hey.
Like, this book is amazing. I took the book to Paris and I sold it out there too. My last two speeches, the Leadership Experience Tour, I talked about this book. So this book is being shared around the world. And I know it's going to be another international bestseller. So that's why I joined, because God said, Teresa, you need to write the darn book.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to circle back because the comments that I have for you and Chantal is the same, kind of like in the same area. So I'm going to go to you, Lisa. what was your inspiration and why did you say yes to be a part of this anthology project?
Well, part of the reason I said yes this time around, because I missed the first time and I was like, okay, so I'm not going to miss this second opportunity. And when Dr. Jennifer and I talked, I kind of resonated with what I kind of see as the unseen leader, because I never thought I was a leader. So I think there's a lot of people out here who are acting in a leadership role but haven't yet recognized that that's what they're doing, which can be a plus in a lot of respects because you don't get caught up in all of the rah-rah of what a leader is. You just kind of get in the work. And I think that's how I was operating. So I wanted to come from that kind of approach. And I thought this was a perfect opportunity for me to kind of tap into my own leadership, and then share that with others. Because of course, what I want to see is other people, win. So because I'm that like kind of that unseen leader that doesn't even recognize it at times for herself, I'm just kind of sharing what I know. And then I'm watching other people take whatever conversations we have and then grow in their own spaces. And that's when I know I've succeeded. Whatever form of leadership that is, I feel successful in that regard. So I was motivated. And plus, Dr. Jennifer, I know she's going to laugh, but what I envision is in that dictionary, there's somewhere where Dr. Jennifer's picture is there. If you see leadership, then you see Dr. Jennifer. That's what pops into my head with leadership. So I couldn't miss the opportunity.
Okay, I am going to interject right here, and then just so you are prepared, I'll come to you next, Dr. Huntley, and then Jennifer, I'm going to have a round out question for you on this. So, like, oh my God, I love it when it gels together, right? So when I'm talking to women who are in an anthology together, sometimes, and I'm just being honest, sometimes it be all over the place, right? But then sometimes there's that jail connection where you just know and you feel that you have like the perfect set of co-authors, right? Perfect set of people. And I'm already feeling that. As you all went through and talked about all of the various reasons why you said yes to be a part of this. And Jennifer, you actually said it when you were talking about the intro, like self-care, taking care of self. All of you have talked about some type of grief or trial that you went through, whether it been your personal health or going through the sickness and watching your loved ones pass and dealing with grief, or even just when you said the unseen leader, feeling unseen, not being seen, that's a form of grief as well. So when you all talked about, like, you all started that way, but then it was the triumph and coming over. So I cannot wait to read your stories and to hear like the expressions of the outcome and you all telling and sharing about your experience of going through what you all went through. So definitely a common thread there. Definitely a common thread. All right, Dr. Huntley, let's go to you. So here you are, second time around, forward author of this amazing series. So tell me, I mean, it's I'm just asking you just so I already know, right? I already know, but tell me, why did you say yes to be a part of this project?
I said yes because it was one of the easiest answers that I have ever had to say yes. I mean, when you see such an amazing leader, a selfless person, an individual who wants everybody to win, who just stands there, she's already said, as a lighthouse. And in some cases, a lifeboat for individuals, wants everybody to win, has a heart as big as gold, uh, 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 just wants you to win. How on earth would I be sensible to say, oh no, I can't do that? That was a no brainer. Dream, it was a no brainer to be a part of this phenomenal team. The second time around, said to me, I am so grateful. I am so thankful that, like everybody here, I get the opportunity to help others cross, as Tyler Perry had said in so many words, Leaders, ladies, we're nurturers. Sometimes we just lose our way. We don't know where we need to fit or whatever. It is my obligation to help you because somebody helped me. I would not be here today if my grandmother wasn't behind me, sharing some things, doing some things. My mother wasn't behind me, sharing some things, doing some things. Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant is the cream of the crop ladies. I mean, she's so quiet behind the scenes. She can be a little get out there when she needs to. All right, team, we need to do this. Come on up here, step up here. We got to do this. But for the most part, she is one of the most outstanding individuals I've ever worked with. She strategically gives you her plan, steps away, and allows you to do what she's asked you to do. It doesn't get any better than that. Doesn't breathe over your shoulder. She's capable. She's competent. She's confident. All of those things. And today is our day, ladies. This week, prayerfully, a vote will take place for another history-making event. Ladies, today is our day. So why not step up and support one of the most phenomenal visionaries here, Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant? That was a no-brainer, Dream. And thank you, Dr. Jennifer, for the opportunity. I appreciate you. I mean, it's just such a no-brainer, such a no-brainer. That was an easy yes. Just honored to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely right. So I'm over here, my cheeks are hurting so bad because one of the things, like, as you said it, like, Dr. Jennifer just has a way of operations, right? So you already know that whatever she's doing or whatever she's offering for others to do, it's going to be beyond expectations. She goes all out for things, and it's because of, like, everything that's instilled in her, in you, Dr. Jennifer, in terms of your pathways. And life wasn't always easy, right? But the things that you have done. So I'm sorry, I know Dr. Jennifer from a personal level as well as from the entrepreneur space and the HR space and the likeness of that. And Dr. Jennifer, like, I can truly say to you, and we always joke around like we get each other, right? We get each other. And no disrespect to the entrepreneur space, because I love tipping my toe into that. But it's when I come from corporate America, so it's a certain level of professionalism that we have to operate in. And that's what we were raised in. So I've worked in the federal government for 30 years. So whether it be you, Dr. Jennifer, in your federal career, or even with Capital One, the thing is, there are different worlds, right? They're totally different worlds. And I love the entrepreneur space. I love to be able to relax a little bit. But I'm telling you, I admire being in that corporate space, and there's a level of expectation that I have. And Dr. Jennifer, I can truly say you have never disappointed, never under. I can almost say you never have just met the mark. You always go above and beyond. And when I tell you, and that's why I talk about that sandbox, right? I love my sandbox, and you already know we can play in that sandbox any day whatsoever, right? So I wanted you to give some input on just going through your process and your selection. And one of the things that you said, you started from the beginning, so I don't want to take your whole line, but you and Dr. Huntley, I kind of know you all, right? So, but one of the things you said, it was God-led, and we both know all we have to do is pray and ask God, and he will lay out everything for you. All we have to do is be obedient. So I know that's your answer. I already know that's your answer. But anything else that you want to add to this in terms of this amazing project? Volume 1 was all out, you know. and you got your feel of what you needed to do, what you didn't need to do, and you got it to that right balance, right? So now that you are in volume 2, and how you strategically talked about you and Dr. Huntley coming up with what you needed to be that subtitle to represent. And oh my God, Lee, I'm going to let you talk because I'm serious. We operate like that. I can almost imagine what you're about to say, but go ahead, just prove me right.
You are hilarious, Ladrine. I have to tell you, you are hilarious. You're absolutely right, though. I asked God to send the right people. And I will tell you, I strategically knocked on some people's doors and I asked them and invited them to be a part of the book because there was a certain level of experience that I wanted to bring. And you will see that every day or a few times a week, I'm spotlighting the authors. I see them as industry experts. And as such, they have been in the military. They have been part of academia. They have been part of the corporate space. You name it. And I am so honored that my daughter said yes. My senior in high school said yes to me. I invited her in on this project because I want to reach different generations. I want to bring a cultural lens to it. The first book, like you said, it landed so many places, and I always say this, Dr. Mary says it, and I always botch it up, but I paraphrase it by saying, our book landed in places where our feet have never gone. And so, it was everywhere. That first edition, UK, Paris, you name it, Africa, South Africa, India. And my heart was so full the night before we even went into our best-selling campaign. We had already reached best-selling. And I was in tears when I hung up because Dr. Mary, as also she took the role as my executive strategic advisor. And we were up late nights, like behind the scenes, figuring out strategically about the categories, who we wanted to reach, the demographics, the target market. And I said, this book is not just about going to stay on Amazon. It's going to be in hands of academia. And do you know that book came into the Fortune 100 company I was working at, and they were like, we want your book. We want to take it over here to this leadership place. I mean, this book landed in so many different places, and I expect this book will be able to do so too, Ladrine. It, like I said, I could have had maybe 40 people on this book project. I turned a lot of people down. But I also thought tactically on the back of the book, and you and I talked about this, Latrine, on the back of my book. I don't want all those people on the back of my book. And I want to make sure, as my afterward author said, he said, oh my God, you are really highlighting these authors. Yes, I don't want them to look microscopic on the back of that book. I want their picture to be shown. I want them to be highlighted, and I want them to be celebrated. So, and then I was strategic about providing an afterward author. And he is from WMATA. If you don't know what that is, that's the transit authority.
Right.
And he spent some years in the federal government. He retired from the federal government. And what I also did, not many people do in our community, Ladrine, is that I got endorsers. You're going to see endorsements in this book. You're going to see an international endorsement as well. And so I'm super excited for all my authors. So yes, I did strategically plan. I listened to God, and I followed his lead, and I was obedient. And it was just amazing. When Dr. Teresa called me, I was tickled pink. And one morning, because she said, and she came at the right time, because I had just shut it down. And she said, okay, I want to be in your book. Just send me the invoice.
I love it. God will, I'm serious, like, God will tell you exactly who, what, when, why, and where, and he makes it so plain. And sometimes it bothers us because we're like, no, God, he has the answers for you, and however it's supposed to be, that's how it is going to be. So I got to give a shout out to a couple people who are just chiming in and giving input here. So shout out to Minister Andre Watts, Cassandra Lewis, Allison G. Daniels, Bernie Lee Spice, Pastor Major Bandy, Tori Brown, Deborah Mack, Valerie Coleman. And can I just shout out extra Minister Andre Watts and Pastor Major Bandy, Southeast. Those are my Southeast friends. So to go through what we went through and to remember them when, and now they are like ordained pastors and ministers. So proud of them. So talking about Southeast, and in their way, they are leaders in their way of life and what they do. They're leaders. So everyone's chiming in. Dr. Jennifer and other ladies about the project, and Bernie Lee Spice is saying it's good. Pastor Major saying this is good. It helps us, and so on and so forth. Andre White says Blue Nights to all those Southeastern, and Andre Watts says congratulations, Dr. Bryant. And the last one I'll read out is Bernie Lee says, Queens don't compete, we collaborate, Dr. Mary. So thank you all to everyone who have tuned in. So we normally take a commercial break, but we're going to do this a little bit different, right? So I do this thing called this or that. That means this or that. So I'm going to test your leadership skills. Simply, it means what? You pick one or you pick the other. So I kind of played around a little bit and wanted it to be around leadership, right? So my first one, so it's this or that. So would you rather inherit an existing staff or develop a new staff? So inherit or develop a brand new staff. So Chantal, we'll start with you.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm going to lead with inherent. I'm going to try to work with what I have. They have some insights, whether good or bad. It's going to help me out and get me that next step forward.
Okay, Dr. Jennifer.
Wow, I can't do a combo, can I?
No, you cannot. This or that.
I want a combo piece. I want a thigh and a leg. So I will say develop.
Okay. And Lisa?
I'm actually leaning towards develop. I'm kind of intrigued by bringing in new energy and seeing how I can develop that.
Okay. Dr. Mary?
I need both, but guess I'll go with inherent, trusting somebody to be able to kind of help me navigate the course there.
And Dr. Mosley?
Develop. I'm a born teacher. Develop.
I am developed all the way. Like, if I have to inherit, I have to inherit. But oh my God, I had the opportunity to build from the ground up 30 staff members. When I tell y'all, it was amazing. They were walking around my organization saying the dream has built an empire. And yes, I did. They were some amazing people. So, all right, y'all did good. Dr. Jennifer and Dr. Huntley. One or the other. No two-piece, no none of that. So the next one, would you rather have one project and be assigned to one project for 18 months or have a new project assignment every 6 months? Right? I know. So I'm going to go backwards. So Dr. Mosley, let's start with you.
New project every 6 months.
Dr. Huntley.
Agree. New project every 6 months.
And Lisa.
Based on the way I work now, I would say a new project every 6 months.
Jennifer.
As a creative leader, an innovator, and a disruptor of change, I would be every 6 months.
And Miss Edwards.
I'm gonna go with the rest of them. 6 months. I'm a sprinter. Let's do it.
Oh my goodness. I love that you are all in uniform. Y'all notice I didn't say yay or anything like that because guess what? I am one for long-term projects where I can really get my foot in there from beginning to end and grow it. And it's the project that I'm on now that's going to change the way HR operates in federal government. So don't get me wrong. I love short-term, hit it, knock it out, go through, pass it on. But this assignment has really changed my mindset. And maybe because I'm in the middle of it. But I hear you all. I hear you all respectfully. I just couldn't pull out the pom-pom like Dr. Huntley on this one, right? So it's a mixture of develop, 6 months. So development unanimously for the other one. And they also went with the 6 months project timeline. So I ain't saying y'all right, but everybody else agree with y'all as well. As well. They call me the angel's advocate at work. Like not devil's advocate, angel's advocate. I'm always doing a SWOT analysis on everything that we do, right? So, all right. So, what I'm gonna do is, I just want to. We're not going to actually go to full commercial and show the commercials that we do, but there are a couple of different things that I have to share with you. So, I'm saying this so that the engineers can gear up, right? So, one of the things I thank everyone who tunes into our show. So shout out to everyone who is online and everyone who is engaging in the discussion. Please, if you do not already do so, follow us on social medias. We are Let's Do It Talk Show on all platforms. That's Instagram, our Facebook group, our website, as well as our YouTube channel. Please follow us, and share this video. Anyone that you know who is struggling and not sure about leadership, they will find so many different things from that. And anyone who is already a leadership, so all levels of the leadership, expiring, already there, or not sure that you're there, please make sure that you share this with someone who really needs to hear that. The other things that are going on, the We All Heal Differently project. So this has been my baby. I'm still on a high with everything that's going on with this. It is the follow-up of the We All Grieve Differently book project, which is coming up on its 1-year anniversary. And with the healing process, it was so critical for me to put out this journal, not just a journal with blank pages for people to write in, but to inspire, encourage, and prompt you to write as you go along. So this journal, as well as the candles, and every dollar that was spent in the candles, as well as who I pulled in for the cover, as well as the interior design, all of them are small-owned business. All of them are leaders. So you can check out that Amazon. You can get the book, or you can go to my website, which is www.doitdelivers.com to pick up any of the information as well as my previous work. And then we also had this beautiful book flyer that shows the faces of all of the co-authors that in forward and afterward that are a part of this amazing project. So in this book, you'll see it displays everyone as it is behind me, how we did this whole incredible takeover, but lovely, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about leadership, right? We're talking about leadership, and as Dr. Jennifer has said, this edition is leaders producing leaders. Leaders producing leaders. If you don't already have the first volume, you need to go back and get that, right? It'll give you that self-assurance that you need to make sure that you know and that you can confidently stand in your leadership space and swim in the leadership lanes and know that what you have to bring to the table, you're a leader. You are a leader. So, all right, so we're going to jump right back into the show, ladies. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to ask a couple questions, and anybody can can respond. I'm not going to necessarily go round robin. So, Lisa, um, if you want to start off, you can, because I see like Miss Edwards. I know we've been getting you on, getting you going first, but hey, guess what? It wasn't by just accident. It's because we know you're a leader, so we had you leading into the conversations, right? So, all right. So as we're going through this process and we're thinking about some things, and Dr. Jennifer, you laid out some traits. So, anyone, what do you all feel are good traits of a leader?
So I'll go ahead and this might not surprise some people, but listening for sure is a trait. But I'm gonna take it a step further. I think listening to understand is an awesome trait for a leader. I think a lot of times we listen enough to wait our turn to speak, but we've never listened to what was said. So I think when we listen to understand what the person is saying, we don't necessarily have to agree, but that to me makes for a very good leader, because you can guide them based on where they are and not just where you are coming from. So
That's good. Oh, that's good. Because a lot of people listen. I'm not going to repeat what you said. That's good. Okay? That's good. Anybody else want to comment on that one?
So I'm kind of
Leader, go ahead.
So for me, I'm really big on dynamic thinking or critical thinkers. A leader has to be multifaceted and like really think their teeth into whatever the problem is and like really think about what's going on in all the different parts of it. So for me, thinking.
I love that. I love
Trust,
that.
trust matters. A leader has to be open, honest, reliable, and credible. Trust does matter.
Trust matters a whole lot. A trust matters a whole lot, and more critically than people can think about. As I was going through and pulling up the questions, I was going to ask one that was going to be really, really tough, but I'm going to save that one for the next show, so I'm not going to say it, right? But when you lose trust, it's just like losing trust in a person. When you lose trust in your leadership, it impacts you all around. And most of the time, and I'm just saying from experience, from observation, and from being in that standpoint, if you lose trust in your supervisor or your leader, you probably need to think about making a move. Because just like with a person, if you don't trust a person, you're not going to be able to fulfill your relationship, whether it be friendship, work, or two. Yeah, so that's really deep with you saying that. Any other comments before I go to the next one?
One biggie for me is integrity. And if integrity is not at the table, then it's not a table where I belong, because it's just a big thing for me, integrity.
That's my number one. That's my number one. My number one. I lead off with my new staff members, whether they are inherited or developed. I lead off with that one, and that's my stance. It's like we cannot let an organization or external factors change who we are. We can't let that happen. So very good comments. And so the
can
next.
can I add one in there?
Yes.
I wanted to because I love this conversation about leadership. Jennifer, you done started something. But I wanted to mention that I've always felt like leadership, you have to be good at pivoting, because a lot of times, even in a leadership role, things may become stagnant and you're not sure what's going on. And you have to be able to kind of go back to the drawing board and figure out how to reach those people who have gotten lost or, misdirected. And a good leader knows how to go back and then regroup and get out of their ego and still continue on that same path. If it's not working, go back and figure out some other way. But we have to be able to pivot and move.
Yes, even the pandemic showed us that. And one of the viewers on the line, Valerie, shout out to you, Valerie. She asked the name of the book is Step into Leadership Greatness. And this is volume 2, Leaders Producing Leaders. But it's Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant. You can go on Amazon and pick up the first volume so you can start right there. But when I tell you, very powerful book. So thank you for asking. So let's move to the next one. So there's a leader, And then you can be a staff or a follower, as they call it, just to using the terms and the analogies in terms of relationship. But in being a leader, what are some of the rewarding aspects to you all? So I'll start off, and it is the subtitle of this book. It's producing leaders. I love being in a space where I can look at something from high level and see what somebody brings to the table, or ask them what interests do they have, and then they tell me, and I find a way to make it work. Because guess what? That's the happiest type of worker that you can ever produce. So that's my answer. So, what are some other factors? What's very rewarding for you all as being leaders?
What's rewarding for me is being able to enhance the light of my people. And that, oh my gosh, that is so rewarding when some people don't even know what's inside of them. But as a leader, you can train them and bring it out and help grow them. And then they one day they go to work and they realize, wow, I've had all of this all along. When you enhance the light inside of somebody for them to grow to be more than they thought they would even be,
That's
it's
it.
so rewarding for me.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it's pretty much kind of what you all are saying, but seeing others win. So seeing those people who weren't seen, and were kind of mixing into the regular batch of workers, so to speak. And then once they get the hang of what's supposed to be going on, just watch them kind of flourish. Not in competition, but just in knowledge. And all of a sudden, they're kind of leading the way, and they know more than you do now. I love to see that. That's what makes me smile, because then you know you've done your job.
Yes, indeed. And then you know you don't have to work as hard, right?
That's
Because
right.
they know their job like they know their job. You are spread across, but they know their zone. So I love, love, love that. Any more before I go to the next question? All right, perfect. And you all summed it up, and they are on the line, like cheering you all on. And so the next one, so we have the role of leader, right? But then we also have some people that we report to, except when we're the CEO of our own business. But even in times, you have had to report up to a leader. So I want you all to think about a positive moment that you all had with a leader that you have respected or looked up to, and share with me your thoughts or your feelings or what comes to mind with that.
So I'll answer that one. What I will say, and he happens to be the afterward author, um, Don Drummer. He was my mentor in the federal government, and I also worked for him. And I remember going through a challenging time in my career at that point, where I was ending a 18-year marriage.
Mm.
And I was still having to lead a team of 30 something federal employees, as well as 30 something or 40 contractors, overseeing a $1.02 billion budget, HR, you name it. It was a whole lot I had to do for the program office. And I remember crying going to work, crying coming home, and trying to be myself during the day. And one day he came in my office and we had a deep talk. And he said to me, he said, and I've written about this in Brains Magazine, a leadership article, rubber balls versus glass balls.
Mm.
And he shared with me the importance of knowing what your glass balls are and not to let those break. And for
Mm.
me, it was about my family, my daughters at the time. It was, and still continues to be, and it was about my faith, which I hold true, and that is something that is incredibly important to me. But I had to deal with the legs, right, and I had to deal with my health as well, right,
Yeah.
and the stress of everything and what it was doing to my body. And so for me, it was important that I keep those together and not allow those to break. And the rubber balls, he said, they'll bounce back, like your work and all this other stuff. And I've since added to that and say, those rubber balls, sometimes they might have to keep rolling, right? They might have to keep rolling. If you don't delegate it or just drop it, like sometimes people may not ever ask about it again and never even notice you stopped doing it. But recognizing every single day, that's what I focus on. Is as a leader, making sure I'm staying true to who I am. And Chantel knows this because we both work together, that I stay true to who I am. I'm authentic, right? And I want to make sure that my teams are saying it's okay to show up as your authentic selves and to fall in love with who you are as a person. Because if you don't fall in love with who you are, your unhappiness is going to spill off to your staff. So if you don't deal with self, right? And then if you don't deal with this piece, and this is another piece, I can go on a tangent.
Girl.
Your producers will have to shut me down because you got to get in a space as a leader where you're no longer, and I learned this from in my executive class, when you're no longer proven, right? You're getting rid of those narratives in your mind that your mama, your grandmama, and everybody else, all of them, said to you about you got to prove to be at that table, right? I'm in a space of improving. I don't have to prove nothing to nobody at this point. I don't. I am. God has prepared me today for this divine assignment. And so everybody that I'm taking with me, there shouldn't be a doubt. There shouldn't be a doubt. So when you are on platforms, when you are launching your business, when you're conceiving different ideas, you take those ideas that God has given you and you don't have to prove it to anyone because you are living by design and not by default. So you got to embrace these things and don't get caught up on everything that you see on social media. Don't get caught up. Trust me when I say that. So that's my answer to that question.
Oh my God, like you dropped so many different nuggets in saying that. And Felicia Parker, she is saying hallelujah, amen, amen, and just telling you how much she loves you, Queen Jennifer. She's telling you to teach, right? So while I want to answer this, like Jennifer, you done started something. We can definitely finish it up the next episode that you all come back. But while I'm gonna say what I'm saying, I want everyone to answer the next two and final questions. And one of them is I want you all to get in your mind your description of leadership greatness. Leadership greatness. Jennifer, you have started something with this whole conversation. This question I love to ask a lot of different people because oftentimes you will realize that the person, the leader that you became, came from a myriad of various things. We already had what's already within us, right? But then you have those managers that you don't want to be like. So you learn what not to do. Then you have those managers that you adore and you know that they encourage you to move around and shake. And that's how I developed my leadership, how I honed in on it. Because again, I can tell you all, I know that I was a leader from child up, right? I didn't call it leader, but I just had those qualities within me. But for who I saw and admire, so y'all know I'm a dreamer. Dr. Jennifer, Dr. Honey, y'all know that's what I do. My passion, I help to turn dreamers into doers, right? So I had this supervisor who I was about to take this job, which I thought was in the next direction because I always wanted to be an executive officer of one of the big components of the Food and Drug Administration where I work. And I had the opportunity to be a deputy executive officer, one step away. So that seemed like the natural pathway. So when I went to tell my supervisor, hey, I'm leaving to go to this new job, it's not a higher salary because I had already maxed out to a certain degree. I said, it's not a higher salary, but it's along my way. And he looked me in my eye. He actually pulled me into a whole sideway. And he said, if that is your dream, you follow it. But let me tell you what's behind door number two. And you go home and you think about it. He said FDA is about to go around the world. FDA is about to go around the world. So if you have a desire to do what you do, which is HR and planning and leadership, if you have a desire to go that way and learn it that way internationally, then you want to stay on my team. Go home and think about it. Because, I started saying, no, 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 no. And that man designed a plan for me. He called it the around the world trip, right? So going to China, going to India, going to South Africa, and all of these other things, because he saw something in me and he wasn't trying to take me away. But then the more important thing, when it was time for him to move on and go to a different job, he called me again. He always would call me into these little places, right? And he said to me, I'll never forget it. He said, Ladrine, I'm moving on. Here's what I had planned for you. Let me know how I can support you, but here's where I see you. Wonderful plan, wonderful person. But I'm like, where are you going? He said, I'm here now, but my goal, check this out, y'all. My goal, talking about dreaming, y'all, my goal is to work with the Gates Foundation. I was like, man, to myself, I was like, man, I'm a dreamer. You talking about some Gates Foundation, what you going to do? Go look up Dr. Mary Lumpkin. He is a director for Bill Gates, for Gates Foundation, for the European office. So when I tell you, like, oh my God, it inspired me so much in just seeing him move. And then I won't go into a story, but Kimberly Holden, who now works at the Office of Personnel Management, years ago, she was the first and the youngest SCS African American that I ever met. And she was my supervisor, and she just bumped up to that. And when I tell you, I could go into her office. I never forget. I went into her office. She stopped the whole meeting. And I was like, you don't have to stop your meeting. She was like, you came up to my office. You didn't send me an email, so I know it's something. And I told her what it was. She was like, consider it done. It was a big impact. So everybody, when you all talked about relationships, building trust, your leader wanted you to do and having trust in you, all of those things really come into play. And everything that you do is a building block, is a building pathway to get you to where you can't even see. Like, you can't even see, and sometimes we don't understand. And I'm going in slow motion and stopping and slowing down because I feel myself about to preach. So I'm gonna stop it right there. But Jennifer, man, you talk all the time about our amazing journeys, right? We know that it's grace and it's blessings that come along with it, but and all of you all as well, some amazing journeys that I'm so super duper proud of. So, all right, get back together. I'm hot and everything. Jennifer, you started something. We're gonna have to find a way to finish back up on that on that topic right there. So, ladies, as I was asking you to prepare for your description and defining what leadership greatness means to you, so I'm gonna just go out of order and I'm gonna call you all. So, Dr. Huntley, can we start with you first?
Leadership greatness, I think it's kind of been said. However, to just kind of reiterate, I love the way our amazing visionary has shared with us, be your authentic self. Because when you don't change and deviate, and people have to wonder, oh, who's she going to be today? Will they just be you? You know who you are, and as she said, just reach within, ignite your fire, navigate your lane, keep it moving, and you'll get to your destination. So for me, leadership greatness is being your authentic self.
I love that. I'm not going to say anything. Dr. Mosley, what's your answer? What's your response? How do you define leadership greatness?
I define leadership greatness as ACE, being accountable, being collaborative, and being equal with everybody.
I love that. Oh my goodness, I'm not gonna say anything. Lisa, what about you?
I'm going to add to it that I think that leadership greatness is really about being open and transparent, and showing the people that you're leading that you are human, and things happen, and when they figure out that you're not perfect, then it becomes a more doable thing. So
Chantal, yes.
So leadership greatness to me is about removing those limits we place on ourselves and others, those boundaries, and putting ourselves in the box. It's about breaking that down, thinking about how to go around it, above it, underneath it, whatever it is, blow it up, and just don't
Mm.
limit yourself to anything.
Hey, there you go. So, Dr. Jennifer, I had to give you a moment to cool off. That's why you're last on this one. So, what are your thoughts in terms of defining or describing leadership greatness?
Leadership greatness is essentially defined by you. Like each of these
Mm.
authors have said it. It's relative to what you do. But for me, it's about whatever you touch. Aim for excellence and not perfection.
That's
As I've always said, leverage your leadership skills to solve a problem. Bring your skill sets along to help close those gaps. And as Lisa said, humanity. Humanity, leading with the heart, is incredibly important to me. And all of what was said tonight, and when you hear from the other authors next week, they giving you snippets from their chapters without you even knowing it, right? And this book is going to be on fire. I just like, again, like me being a fire igniter, I can't wait
yes.
for everyone to get it in their hands because it's going to be a great resource tool.
And I love what you all said, and I was holding on to myself to not like chime in for everyone. Um, but for me, some of you all said the very things that I had written down. So mine first, number one, is showing integrity. Showing integrity, even in the tough times, even when it's against the grain. That's the one thing that people you can assure that people will say about me. Not always favorable, and believing in myself. Like believing in myself. Same way with you, Jennifer, being at the table, sometimes the youngest director, the only African American female, young, but I always had that assurance and that positivity of I can do this and I belong at this table. And then last but not least, being your true self, right? So there's sometimes in a meeting where I would start off very professional, and then once you get the feel for your audience, still remain professional, but I will relax and throw some of the different things in, and I have realized that that was where it was most impactful. So not being fake or not being phony in presenting or in relationships that you have with anyone, because guess what? If even from an interview or any other aspect, if you put on a facade of who you are, that's going to be the person that they're looking for you to show up in every space. So the best way for you to not have to figure out and stress yourself out, show up as your authentic self. As I think Dr. Huntley said, that show up as your authentic self. Love that. Last round, and it's not a whole statement, a sentence, or anything. It's one word. Got that? One word. So if you had to capture your leadership experience, your career, your pathway that you took in one word, what would that one word be? I'll start with you, Lisa.
I'm going to say hidden.
Ah, and no explanation needed. You have already pretty much explained it and said it. So thanks to Dr. Jennifer Bryan for that coaching moment as well. And then Dr. Huntley.
My one word would have to be empowering.
Mm,
Mhm.
that's good. Period. Right? Period. And Dr. Mosley, you look, she's smiling, waiting in the cut. What's your word?
Preeminent.
Ah, powerful, powerful, powerful. Okay, Chantal, we're going to you next.
Agile.
Ah, see, See, y'all playing with that thing. Y'all trying to make me talk. I'm not. I'm not. And then Dr. Jennifer.
All right, you have to repeat the question for
So
me.
the question is, like, if you think about your whole leadership, your career, your whole pathway, and you had to capture it in one word, what would that be?
Resiliency.
Ah, I love that. I love that. I love that. And mine keep going back to that same thing, integrity. Integrity is the foundation of what I build everything on, and everything else just falls into place. So, oh my God, you ladies, this has been phenomenal, phenomenal, and I appreciate all the openness and the comments that you have given. The audience have just love it, and they're throwing out their words: integrity, um, authentic, my authentic self, believe in yourself. Yes, no respect a person, and obedience by your word you say and do in your actions. That's right. Felicia is on fire. So Jennifer, when you get a chance, just make sure you respond back to her, okay? But she said yes. And just
She's
so
my
many.
childhood friend. We grew up together.
Hey, so she
So
knows you, and she knew that leadership in you from the beginning. So we are going to close out, but I want to do this. Would you rather? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it, but let's go through it because I really want to ask you all these questions, and this is how we'll close out. And as you answer the question, please provide your contact information and how people can get in contact or reach you should they want additional information from you. So the question, so it's sort of like this or that, but it's would you rather, right? Would you rather get paid your entire salary plus benefits all at once for the year, or get paid little by little throughout the year, either bi-weekly or monthly? So it's either annually, one lump sum, or either bi-weekly, monthly, or incrementally. Dr. Huntley.
Lump sum, please.
She like, give me
I
my.
I would love the lump sum, and those who are interested in reaching out may reach me on all social media platforms at Dr. Mary J. Huntley.
Perfect. And I'm writing and reading, writing and reading. So, Dr. Mosley, what about you? Lump sum?
Bi-weekly, and you can reach me at creatingambassadorsofpeace.com. That's www.creatingambassadorsofpeace.com is my website. On my website, it links to all my social media sites.
Absolutely. Lisa, how about you?
I'm going to go with bi-weekly, and you can actually reach out to lisadovewashington.com, and all of my social media handles are there as well.
Okay. And Miss Edwards, how about you?
I'm gonna go with one lump sum. Pay me now.
Okay. And
I'm on Facebook. First name Chantel, last name Edwards, and that's probably the easiest way to find me.
okay, thank you. And then Dr. Jennifer Bryant, what about you? Lump sum?
I'll take a lump sum, Ladrine, and you didn't say I have to come back, so I'll take my money, right? I'll get my money up front, and I'll give you all the best at one time. So you
Absolutely.
can reach me on all media platforms as Dr. Jennifer Jones Bryant, Instagram, Reaching Within, and my website is reachingwithinempowerment.com.
Yes, and bi-weekly is on the line. With me, hey, give me all mine at the beginning. I can lead, I can have leadership and manage my own money. Give it to me. Like some people are not as, but I think I can rock with that. So again, thank you all so much for being on the show. And Dr. Jennifer, I know you're coming back, but are there any last parting words that you want to say? And everybody's online, how can they get the book? And so please go back into the feed so that you can provide links to the first one so they can get started for the second one, and so on and so forth.
Thank you, Ladrine. Thank you once again for hosting us and anticipating that next week is going to be a blast as well. My parting words is embrace your journey, embrace your leadership journey, and show up unashamed, unapologetic, and confidently. And I can't wait to see you all at our virtual party. You think we hype now? Just wait to our virtual party.
I already know. I already know. Thank you so much to each one of you ladies who have joined. It has been an absolute pleasure of hanging out. So now you all are welcome in the sandbox. Jennifer and I'm particular about my sandbox, right? Particular about my sandbox. You
So
all are
am I.
welcome to play in the sandbox. Yes. So, oh my gosh. So thank you all so much for tuning in. It has been a lesson, an enriching show, and this is only part one. We have part two that will be coming up, so please make sure that you follow all of these ladies. Take note of their social media and their contact information that they provided. Powerful, each one in their own rights, and this is only part one. So if you are not already doing so, please make sure that you follow us on all social media platforms. Let's Do It Talk Show everywhere. IG, Facebook group, as well as our internet website, as well as our YouTube channel. So please make sure that you follow us on that platform. Coming up, we have Money Making Mondays, where the ladies are going to be talking about tips and ways to prepare your personal taxes. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we have part two of this anthology project, Step into Leadership Greatness. The part two of the takeover is coming up. And at the end of the month, we are going to close out with bringing one of my guests that I've had before, Miss Tammy Ray Boone. And we're going to be talking about finding calmness in a storm. Everybody is going through something or just coming out of or getting ready to go into something. How do you find calmness and how do you find your way? How do you stay above water? Like when you're in the middle of a storm. So we're going to be talking about that. So again, thank you so much. Follow us up on all platforms. I'm your girl, Ladrine Howard Peterson, CEO and founder of Do It, Delivering on Ideas and Thoughts. You can reach me on Facebook, Ladrine Howard Peterson. Do It everywhere else. Instagram, Do It Delivers. My website is doitdelivers.com. So follow me, reach me, and until next week, be blessed. Bye.